Three, two, one.
All right, good morning. It is Monday. Plan for the day. Honestly, it's just to get back into the swing of things. I have a paper talk coming up, and then I actually have some assignments for my modules that I need to do as well. And of course, I need to continue working on my coding. So, lots of stuff on the agenda, but pace myself. I'm not gonna rush, because rushing is the worst thing you can do. And yeah, should be a good day. All right, we are back with our regularly scheduled walks. All right, done with Monday. It was a good, productive day today, I think. At least in terms of getting back up to speed. So there were two big things yesterday. First of all, it was Mother's Day here in Wales, so shout out mothers here in Wales. And it was also daylight saving. I lost an hour, but as you can see, it's all sunny, so I can't complain too much. Today is Tuesday, the weather report. I can just wear a hoodie, no jacket needed, which is nice. Plan for today, pretty much same as yesterday. I kind of have a diverse set of things that I need to work on today, from my research project, some reading, my assignments, and then my paper talk, preparing for my paper talk tomorrow. Yeah, yesterday and today are gonna be very similar.
It is April 1st, and look how blue that azure that water is.
Alright, so for those of you curious, here's the paper that I will be presenting. Simultaneous infrared observations of the Jovian auroral ionosphere and thermosphere. That's the name of this paper by Royan Wang et al. In 2023, if you want to go ahead and read it for yourself. So I'm going to start with here's the big picture, here's what they do, present spatial maps of H3+, radiance, temperature, and column density along with H2. I'm going to explain H3+, because I understand that people will most likely not know anything about what this molecule is. In fact, you the viewers may not, so here's a quick rundown. So H3+ is a triatomic molecule. You have 3 hydrogen, 2 electrons. It looks like this thing over here, equilateral triangle. That's what it looks like. There's a lot of hydrogen in the atmosphere of Jupiter. So when it becomes excited by solar photons or free thermal electrons, you can get ionized molecular hydrogen that can proton exchange, and you can get H2+. Or if you have ionized atomic hydrogen, that can react with vibrationally excited molecular hydrogen to charge exchange, and then you can get the proton exchange to get H2+. So there's a lot of H2+, it's fast, it emits in the infrared, which means that we can observe it from the ground. So H2+ is really cool. This is the instrument that they used. They used this spectrometer, which basically measures spectra in Hawaii. So I'm trying to go there. I'm trying to use some Keck instruments. That's what I want to do. Here's how they did it. They placed a slit horizontally and then worked their way down from the top of the planet towards the equator, and then they did it twice. And then they did some Python stuff to derive numbers, and then they mapped it on these polar grids, which are really cool. This is what these maps look like. So we have radiance, H3+ radiance, temperature, column densities, and also H2 radiance. But that's not really important for my presentation. So yeah, you can see the left is one scan, the right is the second scan. And then this dotted line, you can hopefully see, that's the main auroral emission. So that's kind of where you would see the aurora. So yeah, these are cool. Some results, some numbers. Numbers again, more numbers, and more numbers. So then they try to look for correlations between these numbers, not numbers, but quantities. Radiance and column density, radiance and temperature, column density and temperature. You'll notice that radiance and column density has a value of 0.75. This goes from -1, meaning anti-correlated, and 1 being So radiance and column density, that's expected as you have more stuff created in the auroral regions by electron precipitation and other features. Basically, more stuff emits more stuff, so you have more emission. So that's why radiance and column density makes sense. Radiance and temperature, that also makes sense because higher temperatures are usually at higher altitudes, so it's less dense. That's why that value is only 0.38. And then temperature and density is expected as well, that negative 0.28. Yeah, negative 0.28, because higher density regions usually emit more energy, which means that region is usually cooler, so it's not as hot per se. But they also say that there's evidence that this correlation can be positive sometimes. And then they also looked at H3 plus and line of sight velocities, which they got a negative value, negative 0.4. They highlight that there was another paper that got a value of 0.71. So this can be attributed to two separate things. Basically, one, there's a breakdown in LTE, or local thermal equilibrium. That's an assumption that we make to say that one temperature is representative of a particular region. And so they say that there's a breakdown of this assumption that causes discrepancy. And also both studies study different emission lines at different altitudes. So that can also be a factor. We need a better understanding of how LTE is affected when it breaks down. And the heating source, they're trying to figure out what is heating the aurora. So they compare the temperature to joule heating. Joule heating is a mechanism of heating by which ions collide with neutrals in the atmosphere, so like H3 plus and H2 or something like that. And the way you measure it is by measuring the velocity difference between the neutrals and the plasma. They only got a value of 0.32, so it's unclear if joule heating is the single dominant heating source of the aurora. So more work is needed to understand. And then yeah, that's it. That's what I want to present.
All right, today is Wednesday, paper talk day. Can't wait to be done with this. And then I have no presentations until June, so I'll be happy with that. Apologies if Monday and Tuesday were quite boring. There really wasn't much to update you guys on. But after today, I should be back to the regularly scheduled, mostly research days. So, can't wait to be done with this presentation. Hopefully I don't fail it. I'll let you know, I'll give you an update at the end. Alright, done with the day. My paper talk went really well. There were only 3 people there because everyone is away at conferences. So I made it a lot less stressful. Afterwards, I finished all my assignments and stuff. So I'm free till mid-May. So that's good. Okay, so it's Thursday. I mentioned yesterday that I was done with all my work till like June-ish. I actually have my last module of this semester today, and that's kind of like a 2.5 hour, I don't remember, class. I think I'm only gonna be working for like half the day and then at my module, and then after that I might just call it a day. I think with break coming in, Easter break, which is a 3-week break coming in 2 days, I think not just myself but everyone here is kind of laxing up a little bit. You know what? I think that's okay. I think that's okay.
Look at these fancy new telling you which way to look on the street door that we have here.
Alright, I'm back. Let me tell you about my day today. It was quite an odd day. So I get to the office and I'm like, alright, I know exactly what I'm going to do today. But then I saw that there was an email yesterday from one of the lecturers asking for postgraduate help to grade posters of the second years. Now, I'm like, I can't do that. I'm not qualified. But then my man's Terry's just like, let's go, it'll be fun. So I'm like, all right, let's go. So then, yeah, I went to the lab room and there were about like 10 posters or something like that. And I'm not an expert in like stars, but I have like a general understanding. So I have like some idea of like, okay, this science is right. But I guess mainly I was there to see how the formatting of the posters and the information, see how that was all presented. I hope I wasn't being too nice. I don't really know how grading works here. I hope I wasn't giving out too many 10s. And then after that, I had to go to my last ethics module, and I thought that was gonna be a complete waste of time. But actually, they made us like participate in like these small groups, and the people in my group, one guy was from Iran and the other guy was from China, and they were cool dudes. Like I enjoyed talking to them. I enjoyed talking about why we all ended up at Aberystwyth, because they're in econ and finance, so very different than me. We would have never crossed paths if it wasn't for this. So it was a fun 2 hours, I'm not gonna lie. Oh, but then in the middle, when I actually did work, I figured out that the program I wanted to use wasn't gonna work for what I wanted to. So one step forward, one step back. I need to come up with my own way of plotting a latitude and longitude grid onto Jupiter. I was trying to use some pre-made program, but it just wasn't working, and it's just not going to work for what we're trying to do. Not that it's bad, it just doesn't fit. But tomorrow's Friday, and then it's Easter break for 3 weeks. So I'm not really sure how much work I'm actually going to get done tomorrow, so we'll see. But I wasn't really at the computer a lot today, but it was still a good day, still a fun day. I cannot lie, it was a fun day. All right, it's Friday. I think pretty much everyone here is already in Easter break. All right, what's up? It's Friday. I think everyone here is already in Easter break mode. I've seen so many people with suitcases and heard them rolling down the hill. So it's gonna get really quiet around here. I don't know if I told you already or not, but I'm going to a conference next week. Spring Mist, that's the name of it. What MIST stands for, I do not know, but it should be fun. But today, probably not going to do much but today, I hope I'm somewhat productive. I'm not gonna lie, if I'm not crazy productive, it's kind of whatever. It's Friday. Okay, it's officially Easter break. I think unlike when my sister was here visiting, I think I actually am, where I was working remotely, I think I actually am gonna take a week or 2 off and just reset. As I mentioned before, I have a conference that I'll be attending, as well as another special guest coming along to visit me in Wales. But Easter break is 3 weeks. I think this is a good time to take just 1 or 2 weeks off and just do nothing. A nice reset before we hop into May. So that's my plan. Hopefully I show you some cool stuff from my conference time. And yeah, it's Easter break.